Hello, everyone. Welcome to this fireside session with Ana Paula Castello Branco, CMO from BetMGM Brasil.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So you're very welcome, and it's been a challenging year, probably, for you with the regulatory changes in Brazil. As a CMO, how do you manage that? We've seen a lot of things happening in Brazil post new regulation. We have non-regulated casino that are coming. We have local brands also are coming. And most importantly, I think we've seen the CPA raising some incredible numbers. How do you manage your marketing budgets and marketing strategy in such a market?
Yeah. So as you said, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a really big challenge to be in Brazil in this market, in this moment. Brazil has been recently regulated. Nowadays, we still have illegal brands and legal brands. So one of the things that we're trying to do is to educate consumers toward the importance of them playing with legal brands and not with illegal brands. Secondly, it's like a country where the brands are investing so much money in the market because the opportunity is so big. So as a CMO, I think a big part of my work is how can we build the brand, and MGM is a very new brand in Brazil. We just launched the brand in April 2025. Build the brand without overspending, So how can we build the brand, but how can we at the same time look at the CPA, stop investment when the CPA is too high? So it's been like, we really need to be very, very strategic, So my team and I, we are at the same time building awareness and then trying to do performance in a very positive way, but really going into the details of the marketing budget. I think this is the way to grow with sustainability, consistency.
So how much branding, especially for known brand in the US, but not as much in Brazil as MGM, how much this branding is strategic compared to just acquisition costs? What is your strategy there? Is it building the brand something that is relevant? Is it something that, to be honest, is not that important and you are more investing into acquisition?
Yeah. No, I think each day that passes, you understand that building the brand is more important, or as important as the performance media. Why? Because if you invest only in performance, there will be a limit for you. There will be a moment where you will just stop acquiring new customers. So it's very important for us to build the brand as well in a market with so many brands. So it's very important for us to have a clear positioning, and we already have one, to communicate this clear positioning to consumers, to explain to them why they should play in our platform and not in our competition's platform, and at the same time to conquer them through performance media. So we at BetMGM, we really believe that building the brand is something that's very important. And also, all the players that work together with us that are our partners, for example, Google, TikTok, Meta, and so on, they all tell us you really need to invest in branding.
Right.
Because this will actually lower your CPA in the end of the day. So this is something that we need to...
Completely.
Yes.
And also retention.
Yeah.
It's not just about the acquisition. Is that with brand, you're going to lower your retention costs.
Yes.
So now knowing that, I mean, you expressed it clearly, and I completely align with what you say. And as the architect of building this brand, how do you do? What is it you do to make MGM sound more Brazilian,
Yes.
and more appealing to the Brazilian audience?
Yes. So imagine if you are like a Brazilian consumer, normal consumer, you were like exposed to 30 betting brands. So in your head, everything was like a kind of a mess. Everybody almost talking about the same stuff, doing the same things. So you see a lot of brands sponsoring soccer teams, a lot of brands sponsoring soccer championships. and they don't have a clear positioning. So what we try to do is like we studied the brand in the US and we understood what about the branding from US would really resonate to Brazilians. You know? So when we go to Vegas and then when we studied Vegas and then we talked to our consumers, we understood that Vegas was a kind of a dream, you know. So for Brazilian consumers, going to Vegas is something that it's like a dream come true.
It's a city of dream. It's where gambling comes from.
Yes.
And
So,
you need to sell the dream.
yes. So our position is like in Portuguese, é tempo de Vegas, which you can translate to like it's Vegas time. And it's Vegas time. It's not that it's what we want to portray is the feeling. You know that feeling when you are in a land-based casino that you have like you don't know yet if you won or if you lost, but you know that good feeling about playing.
Yes.
So this is the feeling that we want to transmit to them. And now we have for 6 months now, I would say we are communicating this new positioning. It has been working very well.
And how do you do that? I mean, do you relate to movie iconography? How do you make them relate and associate MGM with Las Vegas?
Yes. So we work together with our agency, with our publicity agency, and we are like portraying what it is that happens in Vegas. Because for Brazilians, it's not that all Brazilians have been to the US and they don't know Vegas. So when we explain this to them through advertising or through our digital media and everything, Instagram and so on, and we're doing this in a very elegant way. So I think that's something that also differentiates us from the other brands, is that we are looking for high value customers as well. So what we are portraying in our pieces on digital or in our TVCs is like, you know, you can see people like having fun, but also in a very unique style, you know, like a very elegant style. And this is the way we are portraying like this kind of dream, you know. So we invite them, you know, to have this feeling of Vegas by playing in our platform.
Right.
This is it.
Let me just check the notes. Do you want to look at any specific question that you would like to answer?
No, that's okay. You can.
Okay, I'll take the lead. We've touched that, but I think it's an important one. So how do you balance short-term acquisition with long-term brand building in a market as dynamic and competitive as Brazil?
Yes. I think that the work we have been doing, as you said, like there's a part of my work which is acquiring new customers, right? And we have our...
Can you be specific, and maybe if you want to, what's the CPA you have there, and maybe how you've seen this CPA evolve from before to now?
Yeah, okay. So I will not tell you a specific CPA because this changes every day.
Yeah.
But when we started working, we had a much higher CPA, and now we have been learning how to work better. So now we can see our CPA getting down, thank God. And we are working and testing. And what we do is like what we normally do in digital. So you invest in one platform. If it works, you continue. If it doesn't work, you just change.
Right.
Or you change the creative. So the whole effort on performance media is within the company. You know, I have a team. They are working this on a daily basis.
Right.
So they are looking at that every day. So answering the other part of your question, so I have to attract consumers, and we try to attract high value consumers. So consumers who will continue with us. So that's why it's important for us to have our positioning. Together with me, we have our COO. He's responsible for retaining the consumers. So I would say that for this market, for such a market as Brazil, retaining consumers is very important, as important as attracting the consumers. And how do we retain these consumers? We provide them with experiences, so unique experience. For example, imagine we are a brand and we belong to MGM. So imagine that I can offer to some of my very unique players a trip, for example, to Vegas. So this is the kind of stuff that we're trying to work, you know. So after I attract the consumers, we try to retain them by establishing a real relationship. So we have like some people who take care of our consumers.
Team managers.
Yes,
For
the key account managers and so on. So they really care about them. I believe that there's another layer, which is the sense of responsibility that we have, that not all brands in Brazil have. So they understand that we belong to MGM and also to Global in Brazil. And so that we waited the regulation to happen in order to enter Brazil. So they understand that we really look after security, responsible gaming, and so on. And this is another layer that I think that will make them stay with us.
oh, interesting.
Yes.
To be honest, I didn't have that strategy in mind for an operator in Brazil. I don't know why, but it's a very, very interesting one. And maybe your US background as MGM makes you think this way. Probably local operators are not as focused on responsible gaming as you are. Now, when you're talking about VIPs, we talk about CPA, cost per acquisition. We talk about player value. As an aggregator, maybe one of the biggest, if not the biggest aggregator in Brazil, what we see, we don't see that much the player value. We can extrapolate it from the data that we have, but the data we have show that the bets are very low. The bets are extremely low. So would you say that the player value in Brazil is lower than in other countries? And then when you target VIPs, what's the ratio, the fold of the value of these players compared to the normal players? Can you say basically what's the player value of a normal average Brazilian player versus a Brazilian VIP?
Yeah, I don't have the player value number, but what I can tell you is that our strategy is to get consumers from higher player value.
Right.
Why? Because Brazil, is a country, very big country with very different social, economic classes. So for us, it's not interesting, to focus on low socioeconomic classes. So we really want to focus on higher socioeconomic classes because we believe people have to, they have the right to entertain themselves as they want.
Right.
So if you have the money, so if you have the capacity, when you arrive home, after a day of work and just want to have some fun, it's okay that you go to do a online betting. So I would say that the strategy is to attract consumers and to retain the consumers that are more valuable to us. And of course, what we try to do is in the moment that we attract them, we try to understand these consumers very, very deeply. So, we try to separate them in some, how can I say? In some segments, yes. And we study those segments. So, for example, in this moment now, we are studying the segments. So the guys who entered and who spend X reais is our money in Brazil, budget from 1 real to like 50 reais, the first deposit. So how do they behave? And then we are treating them in a different way and retaining them as well in a different way.
Can you say how do you assess this early player journey segmentation? What data do you use for that?
Well, we have the amount that he entered when he opened the account.
So the deposits?
Yes, the deposits. So we have we look if he's like a kind of a bonus seeker or not. This is the kind of stuff
So
we're taking a look.
Takes 100% of the bonus with his deposit, or if he takes just 20%, or if he sometimes deposits twice as of the money, that he would only get half of the bonus. That that's a good player.
Yes.
All right.
And also we know the amount that we spend in order to conquer a new customer.
All right. But
So this is something that we are also trying to balance. Like what's the best, minimum deposit, for example, for a brand. We have tested a very low limit. We started with the higher limits. Now we tested a very low limit. So what's the best one to be in? Since I don't have this answer yet, we have people in Brazil studying that. But this is the kind of stuff that we are trying to to do. So, for example, if I know that my CAC, my CPA was X, and so you costed me X reais, X reais to come in, is it worthwhile for you to have such a low deposit or not? So this is the stuff that we're trying to be.
So what I've known from my experience being an operator, but also from the data that we have from game aggregator, we evaluate player, as you said, the bonus. Do they match the bonus 100% with their deposit? If they do that, 90% of them are bonus hunters that we're not interested. Then we prefer when they deposit lower or higher. Now, if you have a player depositing lower, it doesn't mean he's a small player. Actually, it means he can be a very big player just testing the casino. Because if he was a small player, he will try to take the max of the bonus. And then what we look at, I don't know if you look at this data, it's the bet to balance ratio. You'd have a balance of 100. How much or percentage the bet is to the balance?
Yes.
If it's more than, let's say, 5%, you deposit 100 euro and he's playing with 5 euro, we have a VIP. Yeah. If you deposit 100 euro, he's playing with 10 cents, we have a small player.
Yes.
That's a very interesting one.
Yes. That's exactly that type of calculation that we're doing right now because we're very new. So imagine that we launched less than 1 year ago. So now we're really testing that, like the elasticity, of who are good players, who should we stay, what should be the minimum deposits or not,
Interesting. We see an average bet of 40 cents per player in Brazil. Yeah. That's what we see more or less, which is much lower than what we see in other markets. And another thing I wanted to ask you, because as a CMO, you got the branding. With the branding, you're going to attract certain type of players, of course. If you position yourself as a higher brand, a high-end brand, small players are not going to come, okay? And on the other side, you have your acquisition channels. Whether you work with streamers, with influencers, SEO, people that are doing email marketing. What, if you can talk about it, what are your preferred acquisition channels in order to get the VIPs?
To get the VIPs, this is a very difficult question because actually we don't know where a VIP will come from.
Right. So let's say you have this acquisition channel, and then you will get the players and you will segregate them. Okay.
Yes. That's the way we do is like we have so nowadays because we're launching the brand, and I think in the future this will change. So we do it all. For example, now I just launched the new campaign mid-January. So we do a lot of open TV. Open TV in Brazil is very strong.
Right.
Pay TV as well. We do some radio, out-of-home stuff, and digital. A lot of digital,
All of what, sorry?
Digital media. What? Yeah, a lot of digital media. And performance media, digital media. So YouTube, TikTok, and everything. So we do that. We attract consumers. We don't know exactly where a VIP will come from.
Okay.
So we cannot like say, I'm going to take that VIP. So, but we attract and then we try to study them and then they come, So, okay, so this is a VIP guy. Let's stay with him. And then on the moment that he's we detect that he's a VIP, then we start working with him and very closely, really on a partnership way, trying to understand his habits, what he likes, his family like, inviting him to shows and so on.
And from your perspective, are affiliates, the online casino affiliate playing a big role in Brazil? Yeah. When you say digital, does it include iGaming affiliates?
Yeah, we do. We have a whole effort as well in affiliates in Brazil, both for casino and sports. For sports, they're very, very strong. Brazil is a very sports-oriented country, so we have a specific work with them.
And it's affiliates like SEO website or more like ambassadors and streamers?
Yeah, more ambassadors, streamers, and there's a lot. So there's so many in Brazil. What we try to do now, I have my head of affiliates, so we filter, the affiliates that we can work with them in a cost that makes sense for us.
Right.
And that's not like too high, but in a cost that makes sense for us. And also that we also can establish a partnership. We don't want an affiliate that will work for us one day and then the next day will be working for a competition,
Right.
We want affiliates that really buy the idea of BetMGM is a really responsible brand. It's really a big brand that came from the US, and that we're responsible people. So we want responsible partners as well to be with us.
Is there anything you've done on the Brazilian market that you feel specifically proud of and you want to talk about?
Oh, I think that Brazilian market about betting, I think that um, talking about the market itself, I think that the regulation is something that's very positive. It's something new, but it's something very positive for a company like ours who only works in regulated markets. It's something that I feel proud of,
Right.
being in a regulated market. Of course, a recently regulated market, something that's not easier. It's not easy because the regulation keeps changing still. Some things are still being discussed. But I think that this is something that really makes me proud of being part of a company which is responsible in that sense. On the other hand, talking about our work, I think the way that we're working, it's also makes me very proud because we are not just throwing money on the packet, you know? We're doing this in a very conscious way. And I think this is something that it makes me very proud as well. We don't want to just conquer and just attract consumers. We really want to build a sustainable business.
Would you say that this is something that MGM as a company learned maybe as a hard lesson from entering the online US markets? Because at the beginning, the online US market, all the operators were throwing cash and paying very high player value and also having players abusing bonuses. And this went on for a couple of years. And now they have a much more rigorous approach.
Yeah. I don't know actually when they learned and where did they learn this, but for sure they have a big learning curve there because they look very much at ROI. They look very much at the numbers. They work very closely with us. So, and they really want to build a sustainable business. It's not that we're just going to have market share, just to have market share. No, we really want to build a sustainable business. And there's
Profitability, not just growth.
profitability, yes. And this is something that comes from them very strong.
Yeah. Sure, they've learned that from the US market, and it's very good that you're going to Brazil with that mentality and not just grow, spend the cash, and find out 1 year after or 2 years after that you can't stay there because it's sustainable. So it's a long game.
Yeah, long game.
Sure. So, what excites you the most about the opportunity Brazil represents for global brands like BetMGM?
So for me, what excites me most is I've worked in very different businesses. So I worked for
Can you tell us a little bit about your background? You didn't start there, but
I worked for Coca-Cola for 20 years.
wow.
I work in a digital agency as well. And then I worked for a telco company for 6 years.
Right?
So very different markets. Telco has a little bit to do with our business. But I think that what excites me most is to get in, for Brazil, this is a very new market, you know. So for a CMO that used to work for big companies to come to MGM and to have the opportunity to build the brand from scratch.
Right.
For me, this is a very good opportunity. It's not like something usual that you have the opportunity to just build the brand as you believe it should be built, to build the positioning from zero, and to have this opportunity of learning, working, making mistakes, and then doing it again. So I think that the whole thing is very exciting.
I'm really looking forward to see what you're going to make of MGM brand in Brazil. I think that there's it's a very interesting project and something I'm really looking forward to see.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us and
Thank you so much.
Answering my questions.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.